Hey, comic book collectors, do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.
Welcome to the one and only Comic-Con Podcast, your podcast for comic book news, reviews, and comic community drama, with your hosts, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal. Are you listening?
Welcome back, everybody, to Comic-Con Podcast, Season 4, Episode 41. We are still in October. It's October 10th. You'll be listening to this hopefully October 11th, but maybe a little bit later after that. But yeah, we're just rocking and rolling along and moving through, getting ready for the end of the year, but still enjoying this beautiful October weather. So, yeah, man, with me, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime. What up, dude?
Hey, what's going on? I didn't realize I was in the presence of a celebrity. I didn't realize Mr. Hurricane Milton is.
Yeah, just tore through Florida there.
Tore that ass up.
Sorry, everybody down there. It was one of those days I woke up choosing violence, I guess. And no, all jokes aside, it sounds like it was pretty bad, but it does sound like maybe it wasn't as bad as Helene in terms of deaths so far, which I know is not good. One person dies, that's no good, but it seems like it's a little bit tamer at the moment. So everyone who's out there, if you're listening to this late or if you're listening to this now, stay safe. Hope your family's safe. Help out as you can. And
why do you live there?
I know I always wonder that too, to be honest with you. I mean, I understand Florida's like great in certain aspects and certain parts. You know, every place has its good ups and downs. But like, I'm a very strong believer, and I don't want to live anywhere where a hurricane hits. And this is like every year, it seems like a hurricane.
Yeah, it's Hurricane Alley, tornado. Right? Yeah, it's Hurricane Alley because Tornado Alley is really more Midwest. But I get like a lot of people go down there. There's the snowbirds. There's you retire and you go there because it's always warm weather, so you don't really get sick. Like my uncle moved down there and it's almost 20 years, and he's like, I never get sick down here. It's always nice, and then I'm like, that's great, but guess what? He lives in Sarasota, so he was Category A of where this hurricane was going to come over. So he actually left yesterday morning and went on to the East Coast, like north of Miami. So he had to drive 3 or 4 hours away to the East Coast, to the Atlantic side, and then north. And it wasn't that bad. Now, I don't know he doesn't even know what his house looks like yet.
Yeah.
But still, like, I'm just like.
Yeah. And I guess there's like certain areas that like get hit, and I'm probably going to, muck this up a lot, but like, obviously the Gulf, I don't know which one gets hit more, whether it's the Gulf or the Atlantic side. I know Key West, I feel like gets hit. Regardless, it feels like at some point, every part of that state is just like underwater at some point. And, and it's surprising too, like North Carolina got wrecked, right? And that's pretty inward. Like Asheville is not near the coast, really. I mean, they got in there and jacked it up pretty good. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, all that area, Georgia down there, like I guess you got to worry about North Carolina now too. Like, I know there's coastal regions of it, but I don't know, man. I don't want to live anywhere. I'm worried. I'm too close to the ocean up here. Now I'm like, crap, man. What this hits up the DC area? But
I think you'll be fine. But again, starting the podcast off talking about weather.
Yeah, weather, man. Weather's been rocking people lately. So, But anyway, let's get into it because the Royals play tonight, and I definitely want to go watch that game. Hopefully, they stay alive.
Yankees.
Hopefully, they stay. Go Yankees. Yeah, right. I was giving No Good some shit about that, Justin, because he's a Yankees fan, so I was DMing him and talking shit. But
yeah,
we'll see. We got to win tonight to stay alive. But
hell yeah,
we'll see.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was a good Monday night for you. I mean, you had the Chiefs win, and
I had a hat trick, bro. Because then I won my fantasy football also.
Oh,
so I was like, and it was down to the wire too. Because I had one guy playing. I needed like 15 points to win, and he got like right out the gate. It was what is it? Shareem? What's his name? Shaheem, and he had like one pass for like 60 yards and a touchdown, and it was like 12 points, and I needed like 15. And I'm like, "Oh, man, I just need, like, a couple more passes." And, of course, it's also against the Chiefs, so it was like it's like, "Oh, what do I do here? How do you root for this?" You know? But I figure, hey, if someone's gonna score, at least let it be the guy on my fantasy team. But, yeah,
Yeah.
big win on Monday night. Very nervous Monday night. So, gonna be a nervous night tonight as well. But, anyway, let's get into it. So, we got some questions from the community.
Yes, we
You
do.
guys
Yes, we
good?
do. So let's go with our first one. Our first one's coming over from our buddy Mike the Beast Benson. He sent us a message saying, with the reviews of Hellboy the Crooked Man not being so hot, pun intended, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think it's been? So why has it been so hard for them to get a good Hellboy film since the two Del Toro films slash Perlman films? The last attempt with Hader didn't pan out as well. Mike Mignola was even a co-writer on the latest one.
Mhm.
Apparently the film is boring.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, like, you look back at the Hellboy, the original 2, and I know people are like, "Yeah, they were so awesome." But, like, have you read much Hellboy?
No,
Okay, so
very, very little.
I went on a Hellboy tear for a little while where I read quite a bit, pretty deep into the lore for a while, even some of the, like, the BPRD stuff as well. And, I mean, it has, like, elements of it, right? It's very like, the original ones with Perlman definitely had a and I'm by no means, like, a Hellboy aficionado, but it definitely had themes and it kinda nailed the character pretty well, but I wouldn't say it was, like, hard canon, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say it was, like, super, super strong with, like, the story. Now, I could be wrong because, like I said, I'm not, like, a Hellboy master, but now the second one or third one, I guess, with the dude from Stranger Things,
Stranger
right?
Things?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a little bit more I felt like that was a little bit that one and this Crooked Man felt like they were exact stories, if I remember correctly. And the thing is, I only saw that third one, like, once in the theaters. It
I
wasn't
never even
bad.
saw it. Well, because
No?
didn't it had what's her name? Wes Anderson's wife from the Resident Evil series, right? Wasn't she? She was the villain. Um,
Bro, I don't even remember. I know it
yeah, the
had the
chick who
werewolf.
played. Oh, well, the chick who plays. Maybe she's in the beginning and the end. Oh God, I can't even think of her name. She was like she was in all the Resident Evil movies.
Oh,
Mm,
are you talking about a chick from Third Element or Fifth Element?
yeah, her. What's her
Man,
name?
I don't even remember this movie. Oh, yeah, Mila Jovovich. Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. She was like a witch or something. And I barely saw that movie. I just had no. Not. I think it's.
Oh, yeah, she was Nimue. That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't think it's so much of a connection with people, right? Because any comic book movie can kind of create its own thing.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just wasn't feeling that one. And I guess after, because the thing is, you kind of have a staple of what you want Hellboy to look like, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the Guillermo del Toro stuff, the first one just kind of came out of nowhere. It was really action packed. It was cool CGI or good effects, whatever you want to call it, and the villain is kind of old school, kind of like Captain America, right? Because it's kind of like a Third Reich type of thing. So
Yeah, it's very Nazi. There's a lot of the original lore is Nazi based.
yeah, and I feel like then you kind of went into Hellboy 2, and you're like, well, the first one was good. He's done Blade. He kind of already has a staple on what his directing style is. So he has those people that are kind of cult followers. I can't think. I'm sure. I think Pan's Labyrinth probably came out after. If I had to think
No,
about like what.
before.
Oh, before. Oh, okay.
Way before.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
so then there's all these people that just want to see this director because that's kind of what happens in Hollywood for the most part. You know, you always want to kind of follow a director on what he does. And I just feel like people just didn't have the thrill to even go and see, whether the reviews are good or bad, to be honest, for The Crooked Man. I had no intention of seeing it. Now we will talk
Yeah.
about another movie soon
You
that
know, I'm reading, like,
was
I'm looking at it at Wikipedia 'cause I only saw it once. Like I said, I barely remember it.
yeah.
And, now I kinda wanna check it out again because there is it's a lot of Arthurian legend here. I do remember liking some aspects of it. Like I said, Ben Damio, I call him a werewolf. He's a were-jaguar. But, like, Ben Damio is in it, who I really like that character in the books, as well as they do have, like, Lobster Johnson shows up, who is,
Mhm.
like, pretty big in some of the spin-off stuffs
Yep. Yep.
of the Hellboy universe. So and they had Baba Yaga. So there's all, like, very like, this is very canon type stories for Hellboy. I don't know why people didn't like it that much. I mean, I don't remember liking it a lot, but like I said, I never was very invested in it. So
Yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. It's indie, but I mean,
it's
indie
never
still
really
kind of
broke
can
out.
shine through.
Yeah,
Shines through.
it's never really broke out, I guess. I mean, it's probably like it's obviously probably like the biggest dark horse, right? Like
Yeah,
fan
IP.
following. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say IP, yeah, for sure.
But I would say it's still kind of on that cusp of like it hasn't really cracked into mainstream, even though it has had all these movies.
Yeah.
This did the movie even come out in theaters or did it was like straight to
Uh, well, I think it's just getting bad reviews. It comes out
like I thought maybe it was like getting like direct release.
it just says UK was the 27th of last month, but it's began
So
filming.
direct to VOD in
Oh,
the
well, yeah,
UK.
yeah. So, all right.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
on
October
October
8th.
8th.
So it just came out like 2 days
Yeah.
ago on video on demand. So, yeah,
I
that's
might check it out, man.
but that's again, maybe that's the problem too. Is it's limited to theatrical releases in international markets beginning in Belgium in June, and then the UK was literally like 2 weeks ago, and then it is released direct straight to video in the United States. So you know what? You never know because the reviews may be one thing, but there's always that cult following
Right.
that's gonna turn it around to be like, yeah, this is pretty badass, right? Because even like the Crow movies, the early Crow movies, the
Mhm.
reviews aren't great, but there's that
No.
cult following
Yeah.
that everybody loves it.
Yeah, and I mean it's a very it's very like specific to one story. And I'm looking at like the cast here. There's really no like supporting cast. Like there's no Lobster Johnson or Ben Damio or oh man, what's the water dude's name? I can't
Oh,
remember. It's been so long since I've seen it, like since I've really like followed anything Hellboy. But it really looks like just Hellboy as the kind of really one of the only mainstream Hellboy characters. Might be like some minor ones, but
yeah. Well,
and
this
the
is
budget was $20 million. It really they didn't really spend a lot on this.
well, it is also this is a direct like mini series for Hellboy. So it's
Yeah,
straight out of the Hellboy lore. You know, it's
right.
not like
Yeah, it's
Guillermo del Toro just kind of took pieces and
themes.
villains and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then obviously the second one exploring more of the elves and the underworld. That was
Mhm.
more, I would say, out there. But this one's straight out of like a 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah, which you would think maybe would be like fans would enjoy that because it's and that's kind of how Hellboy is. Like it is almost as far as I know, like I said, don't crucify me, anyone out there. Like I remember reading it, and it's not necessarily like Batman canon where it's like this event happens and this event happens all chronologically. It's very much like you just read a new story. It was like a new adventure, self-contained of Hellboy in the universe, of course, but it wasn't like what happened previously in the Baba Yaga story affected the Crooked Man story necessarily. Like, I don't know, but oh, maybe I'll check it out once it gets a little cheaper. But I'll
Yeah, I don't
probably
really even
not
think
gonna
like
pay $20 for it if that's what it is.
yeah, like
But
the VPRD stuff, I always feel like is just straight up miniseries. Like I don't think it's ever had like a long ongoing series.
I can't remember.
Um
I mean, they had the collected editions. That's what I was reading them in, but
yeah,
I
like
don't know.
omnibuses and stuff, but it's still
Yeah,
gonna be just all the miniseries. He's never had like a Hellboy 1 through 50. I I'm
yeah,
and I'm just
yeah,
saying that and I could be completely wrong, but you know, as we're talking and I'm kind of checking CLZ, like if I just typed in Hellboy, uh they look like a ton of just
yeah. It's
miniseries.
just stories. It's
Yeah.
basically like stories like Crooked Man or the Baba
Mhm.
Yaga or like his origin story. It's just real like almost like novellas in a way, but in comic book format. So,
Yeah. I mean, like the BPRD, there is one that was in 2003 that went from, I don't know why it started. I guess, so it started at issue 103. My guessing is they took all the minis and added them up
mhm,
and it went from issue 103 to 147. So what's that like 50? Yeah, it's like 50 issues right there.
yeah.
But that's got to be like the longest running. Yeah. Normally it's just shorter stories, like limited series, mini series, stuff like that. So,
Abe Sapien, that's his name.
oh, that's what it was, yes.
Yeah.
Alright, well, good question, Mike, thanks, you know, we'll always
I know
check it
there's
out,
some
and
diehard Hellboy fans out there, man.
yeah, definitely. It's some interesting
So,
things to find the Hellboy fans, for sure. I've seen a lot of people dress up as Hellboy every year, and they've done the Hell Girl, like, people have done that too, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, and then one more community question real quick, we got, Black Crown Comics, and I really enjoy this question because I have a pretty good follow-up for this. Black Crown Comics asks if you could have one band record an intro song for your podcast, who would it be? I know who you're gonna pick.
Yeah, yeah,
I know
100%.
exactly who you're gonna pick.
It's Coheed and Cambria.
Of
There's no
course it
doubt.
is.
No doubt.
Of course.
Yeah. Or
Um,
Tech Nine, or maybe Tech Nine.
really?
Dude, I love Tech Nine. He's a Kansas City guy. I can't, you know.
All right. I would have figured you went Nickelback after.
Oh, Nickelback or Creed. Yeah, I think Creed or Nickelback. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are close seconds. Those are close seconds, dude. What was it? I saw a funny meme. I'd seen it before like a million times, but it was like, don't come in the garage. I'm throwing wrenches and listen to Nickelback. I don't want you to get pregnant.
Oh
This
my
guy
God.
comes, that's like, oh, that's hard. So who
Jesus.
would your be?
I mean, my number one would be like Kill Switch Engage for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with that. But and it's funny, like I've actually been thinking about this even prior to this question is what are we going to do for season 5? Because if you know, we always change our intros for the seasons. And I'm actually considering just going on like some audio what is it, like a chat GPT, like AI thing to create our 5th season like song, to be
Let's
honest.
record. Let's record something. Let's
Be
do
like a
let's do
rap,
an let's do a rap. I don't know.
Comic-Con podcast rap.
Just
Mm,
let's also start a band.
yeah. Season 5 coming at ya. Yes, I don't know. We could do like a Limp Bizkit thing.
Oh God. Oh man. I mean, they're coming
Yes,
back.
please.
So
But just a real quick follow up because I was having this conversation yesterday, and this is going to be a throwback question from many months ago. It's actually a really good movie soundtrack,
hmm.
the original Spider-Man soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah, with Nickelback with Chad
Yeah,
Kroger.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Dude.
And then like
That's a good
Corey
one.
Taylor's song is on there. There's
Yeah.
there's a Hive song that's on there as well. There's some
Dude,
good stuff I didn't realize.
the one thing that Sony did well in like the 90s comic book movies were soundtracks. Every one of those movies, as crappy as those movies were or weren't, had fire soundtracks, dude. I mean, it's stuff I still listen to. Like I always talk about the Punisher soundtrack, the Elektra soundtrack, Daredevil
Daredevil.
soundtrack is awesome. They're all so good. I mean, I don't think X-Men had one, or it's funny because none of these movies, like some of them had music in them, but like the X-Men never had songs playing.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I probably didn't listen to like the other Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 soundtracks at all, but dude, greatest soundtrack, and I think I've said this before on the show, greatest soundtrack of all time, one of the shittiest movies of all time is Queen of the Damned. It's just like
Yes.
an amazing soundtrack. Horrible
Yeah.
movie. Horrendous movie.
Yeah.
Such a great soundtrack.
Well,
Anyway.
thanks for the questions, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You could always send it to us, Instagram, the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com or any of our Instagram socials. So
Yep. So let's get into books. Let's talk about books and then we'll come back to some articles this week. Let's see. Let's do Venom War. There wasn't much here. So Venom War, we had Venom 38. I think we just had Venom War Wolverine, right? Those are the only
yes.
two.
Yep, those are the only two this week.
What'd you think? What'd you think about the Venom? Also written by Torrin, which is nice.
Yes. So I don't know, maybe because I'm not reading Venom.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it too much. Like it's kind of in the future, so that's why it's part of the tie-in. I guess the villain that kind of, or the antagonist in this issue, is the guy who's in the current Venom War series. Or was I misreading that completely? Because I'm not reading any of it other than the tie-ins.
So you hadn't been reading any of the Venom tie-ins for Venom War?
I did, but I don't recall it being so much in the future.
So it's all
Maybe I missed the last one.
Man Dylan or Old Man Venom. That's but that's all kind of only taking place during this Venom War story. So you wouldn't have had to read like anything like the stuff prior to that.
All right.
Yeah, so he's doing something, he was hunting, he got Molten Man, he's trying to create some weapon, right? He's trying to create some weapon to take down, we don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's Meridius, right? Meridius is the big bad, it feels like, of the Venom War. So he sees something in the future and he's trying to come back and prevent it. Almost like a Cable-esque type character, right? And then
definitely
meets up with Chthon or however you pronounce his name, and it was kind of cool. Damn, now I'm having a mind blank. Who shows up at the end? Who does he run into at the end?
Shit. I don't think you see it. Do you see who it is?
I don't remember. He's losing his memory, and then he goes, it's Loki. Remember Loki? He goes to his cabin, and it's like his mom, but he has forgotten his mom because that was one of the things he sacrificed to get the weapon. He sacrificed a bunch of his memories to get the weapon.
Man, I must have really checked out on this issue because I was just Because yeah, Doctor Strange is in there, right?
Yeah,
And
so he
then
takes him down and he meets with Chthon, and then Chthon says, "Yeah, I'll make your weapon, but you have to give up and sacrifice things." And they take like his sense of taste, they take his memory of
mhm,
his
mhm.
mother, his name. He only goes by Old Man the rest of the book. He doesn't even remember his
Oh
name.
yes, okay, you're right. You're right. Sorry. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
he's like trekking through this like wilderness or like landscape, and he runs into like someone who's pretending to be his mom, and it ends up being Loki. So we'll see what
Mhm.
happens like next issue, I guess. It's strange. I don't know. You know, um,
Not needed.
yeah,
Definitely
I don't know. I
needed.
mean, I guess it depends on how it all plays out, right? It seems a weird avenue for the main ongoing out of all these books, out of all Venom War. Venom is the only ongoing, right? That's like part
Mhm.
of it, and it seems like a strange place to do that storyline. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see
Well,
what happens.
Carnage was ongoing, and they tied it in pretty well because then
Well,
now he's
no.
in the Venom War.
So actually, the ongoing stopped for Carnage, and it's been like paused on issue 8, and everything's been just Venom War Carnage, like a mini series.
Oh, you're
And
right.
so, yeah,
Okay.
so it's weird too. Like I'm actually not even sure if they're gonna come back and renumber, like when they're done, if Torn's gonna come back and it be like Venom 9, or I'm sorry, Carnage 9 post Venom War. Um, we'll see. But
Yeah, because I didn't even see when I was looking at pre-orders this month. I didn't see Carnage on my list.
yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I looked on CLZ and saw like another issue coming out post everything. Speaking of that too, I also saw that which is kind of strange. The Venom ends at like, I don't know, it looks like CLZ only has it up to issue 8. Um Venom ends at 39, and then all new Venom, right, takes place. Like that's weird numbering, like not to end at 40, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just timing, I guess, because
Yeah.
of how Venom War is going to end, and then that's going to start. But yeah, it's
Yeah. So and then we had Venom War Wolverine, which definitely feels like unnecessary,
oh,
right?
I was thank God you said that too, because
Yeah. Like it's just
it's the worst one. It makes absolutely no sense.
yeah, and like people, it makes you feel like Wolverine has this history with these people, and it's like I don't care, you know. But then it looked like what Jubilee got some venom juice on her shoe, and she's gonna take it back with her or something, right? I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
It's
you gonna become a zombiote Jubilee
I don't
now.
know. It's kind of lame. So anyway, so that's Venom War.
Yeah.
Um, what did you like this week? What did you read that you
Well, what did I like this
were a
week?
fan of?
Before we start, of course, Comics and Beers this week is brought to you by Alpha Gator Imperial IPA, another 9%, very, very nice beer.
Nice.
For myself, you know what? This was a really good week. There's a lot of stuff. There was definitely a lot of stuff to read this week, and I know we always say that. Um, a holdover from last week that I didn't talk about that I know you read, and we actually got to talk to her at Baltimore was Feral 6.
Mhm.
The way Feral 6 was, I probably read maybe 3 pages into it, and I was almost, like, choked up the way it was with, the cat,
Yeah.
because she's infected, and I was just like, "Oh god, this is where this is gonna go," and she's producing, Sophie is having, like, the the hallucinations of what's going on, like, seeing the other cats, but it's not really them, and obviously, if you've been reading Feral, you'd know where it is and
Mhm.
what's happening to the cat, so Um, that was a holdover from last week that I really enjoyed, and we got to talk to Trish about that. She's like, "Yeah, this whole thing is kind of done like a Blair Witch thing. It's first person view."
Yeah, it was cool.
So, that was good. Ultimates 5. I like the
Yes.
introduction to the new Hawkeye. I
Yeah.
thought it's interesting the way his gear is. It's like a 3D printed, so basically he's got like the quiver in his back that can continuously just like 3D print different arrows, which I thought was
I like
pretty
the way
interesting.
they did it on the page too, where it would like show the arrow, like a picture,
Mhm.
like it'd say like I don't know, fucking ice arrow, and it would show the arrow, and then he'd fire it, and then it was like all the panels. I thought it was really cool how they visually did that as well.
Yeah, good issue there. Phoenix 4, kinda it's kind of it's weird when you pick up a book and you're like, okay, you see the cover, so you know who's gonna be in the book, right?
Mhm.
So, right on the cover, it's Phoenix fighting Gore the God Butcher. So, you're anticipating this. So, I thought it was a good issue, to be honest, because you actually feel for Gore, and Jean Grey goes and talks about this throughout the issue once she meets up with Gore of how he was with people, his people, and they were kind of sacrificed, and he got turned by the necro sword and killed a bunch of gods, and it was pretty cool. It was very interesting. And then there's this council, like the people from the Shi'ar and
Yeah,
other,
the Galactic
yeah, there's
Council.
the Galactic
Yeah.
Council. There's other different people from different societies that kind of want to revolt against her, but it's really the Gladiator that really wants to revolt against her. Um, the Batman and Robin picked up just where it normally picks up. The
Yeah.
continuation of Damian and Batman, which is great, right? I'm sure you read that.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of Roz vibes in it, right? Like a
Mhm.
lot of talking about Roz and obviously leading into I'm sure we're seeing him soon, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be coming soon.
Yeah.
And then, what was an interesting book was Transformers 13.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That
think
was great.
I don't think we've ever gotten like an origin story for Starscream.
Like
And
like a POV perspective either, for sure.
yeah. And it's weird because, there's let's see, there's the Transformers 1 movie. There's a storyline with like that. Transformers Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron, there's like a history of how Starscream is there. But for the most part, I feel like even G1 up and through the IDW stuff, I feel like we always knew that Starscream was kind of like a scientisty type. And then
Mhm.
he just kind of switched, gained sides. But I mean, it's almost like Megatron's almost kind of like that. I don't want to call him like a pedophile, but like
Well,
like
he's like a cult leader.
yeah, but he's almost like entrapment because he literally he
Yeah.
says, "Oh, I can help you save your friends." He just kind of transforms and turns into the gun, and he's like, join me. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like giving candy to like a child. Like, hey,
Right.
join my group. We have candy, and it's like we can kill people. So, but
Yeah.
I thought that was a great issue.
I liked how you kind of saw like his friendship with Jetfire, and it's like right before Jetfire leaves, and because that they have a
Hmm.
relationship. We saw it earlier in this run as well. And then they used their names, and it was kind of like the origin of why he chooses Starscream. Um, is those big creatures or the big like is that something? Like I mean, I don't know the lore like you do. The big creature that goes over like Cybertron, is that something? Is that
Oh,
something we should know?
that's Omega Supreme.
Okay.
He's kind of like one of the Titans, but again, I don't know how they're doing this
Right.
for the Skybound Energon universe, to be
Uh-huh.
honest. So we'll see that. But yeah, that's Omega Supreme. He kind of transforms into a big like spaceship.
Is he like a god or
Yeah, see, like I don't know where they're taking it.
okay.
In the
Could be different.
IDW stuff, they had these things called Titans, which were kind of similar to like Devastator. Like they were huge combiners.
Mhm.
And Omega Supreme was one of the Titans, Metroplex, and there's a couple other ones from how the IDW series did that. So I don't know if that's the same series or yeah, they're kind of doing them as gods. So maybe like Omega Supreme, Tripticon could be a god, Metroplex could be a god. So I guess we're gonna have to see where they go with this.
Gotcha.
So I guess the only other book to talk about, two books to talk about, and I'm sure both of us is on our lists, but Terminator #1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dynamite just continuing bringing these different franchises back, doing the #1. I enjoyed it. I just had a little bit of a fault about it. So here's
Okay.
my thing. When we originally talked about it, right? We talked
Mhm.
about how the Terminators were going to go back in time and they weren't going to go after John Connor. It was going to go after people that are affiliated with him, kind of
Like
like
his
a Terminator
generals and
3.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like a generals thing.
Yeah.
And then you read this issue, and I get it. I like it. It's a self-contained issue. Like there's just the old man and his wife and the Terminator, but there was no like buildup, like why this is happening, right? So it's kind of like an odd thing, and I'm trying to figure out based off of the previews. I was like, well, why is the Terminator going after these two people? Are they just
So
going after these two people because they're just two random people, or
no,
are they going after them because they are something?
they're parents. So at the end, the box that she burns, you see the
Yeah.
picture of like a kid that they have. So
Yes, I did.
I
Yeah.
I think they can't find the kid because the kid. So
Right.
that guy even talks. The father talks about how he grew up off the radar, right? And then you see like the
Mhm.
flashback, and then they go off the radar, and they're living like in the woods or whatever. And they obviously have a kid, and they raise him the same way. And then the kid leaves, obviously goes somewhere. And so somehow the Terminator tracks them down because they probably can't find their kid, who's probably one of the generals, is what I would, that's my assumption, is that their
Okay.
child is one of these people. But
Okay.
because they've been taught so well by their parents, they can't find that guy. So they're like, okay, let's go up the food chain and maybe we try to get the parents to get to the child. Because that
Mm,
was the vibe. That was the vibe I got. The Terminator's hunting for their kid, and that's why they were trying to burn that. So there's no evidence of that they have a child or any information on maybe the whereabouts and stuff. That's
yeah.
the vibe I got.
Okay. All right. Maybe. Yeah. I guess I could see it that way because it's interesting how it starts in present day, but even though present day for this
Right.
issue is like 20, is like the mid, like maybe 2019 or 2018, I forget. And then it goes back to when they were younger and how they met, and I
Mhm.
think like the 70s or something. And they're running from the Terminator at that point, and they've
Yeah.
been running and hiding this entire time. Like I thought that was really interesting. So,
Yeah, I think it's the idea of like kind of like the original Terminator movie, where
mhm.
the Terminator comes back to kill the parents so that they don't breed whomever it is. And so that's
Yeah.
why the Terminator went back to get them first, and then they end up having their kid. So
All right. Yeah,
uh,
because the person I was talking to said, I was like, "Oh, maybe it's John," and no, it was, Sarah Connor's, uh, mother and father, and I was like, "Nah, bro, did you not see the time?" Like, it was
yeah, I don't
completely
yeah,
different.
and in the picture, as far as the picture looked like a boy to
Yeah.
me in the
Yeah, I
in the
didn't it
picture.
didn't really look like that, and then there's the epilogue, which is kind of in the desert, looks like an Arabian.
Yeah, that was strange.
I guess
Something and I
that's gonna
didn't
be issue 2, like, that would
yeah,
be the next
I didn't
issue.
understand. Someone comes out of the sand and then stops like the car.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a Terminator, was it?
I think it's the same thing. I think there's a Terminator there's the guy who comes out of the sand, which is a Terminator, but then there's also another Terminator that's
Like, it looks like a
protecting the other
protecting
people.
Terminator? Okay.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
person that's in the car is a Terminator because 'cause he's got
Yeah,
the red eyes, I remember.
right. Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was kinda like, "Huh." So,
so
it
and
was
that's
only like
cool
a
because
page too, so yeah.
yeah, and it's cool because and I've never really listen, I've never read a Terminator book other than when there's crossovers throughout the many, many years. So for them to go to different worlds, different areas, geographic regions
Yeah.
is pretty cool. Because for the most part, we always get like LA, right? It's always like
Right, right.
where Skynet was. So it's interesting. Yeah, we're gonna find out, what's happening over, I guess, in some Middle Eastern country with the Terminators
Yeah.
and what the time because they don't even tell you, I think in the epilogue, it doesn't really tell you the year yet. So we'll see what happens. But pick of the week, I mean, come on, man. Absolute Batman. Like
Yeah.
I hate to say like I hate to be that guy and be like, well, there's not, there's a
A bandwagoner kinda person, but it's the
yeah,
truth, it was good.
yeah, it was just downright amazing. Like
Yeah.
there was nothing there was nothing wrong with the book. Dark Side's world, Bruce Wayne is no longer and we're gonna get into spoilers. So if you haven't read it, I'm sorry, but we're definitely gonna get into spoilers. But you got Pennyworth Alfred, who's kind of like a Deathstroke character,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Or
Uh,
Spiral. I got yeah, like a Spiral, like, that he works for some yeah, probably more like Deathstroke because he is kinda this is I don't know. He's a secret agent. Sometimes he kills
yeah,
people, sometimes it's just surveillance.
yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
absolutely amazing issue. Again, Bruce Wayne growing up without without all the money and just, but it's interesting to see like a lot of things that he does and the way Alfred kind of goes and talks to him and or not talks to him, but when he researches him, I guess, or when
Mhm.
he's like surveillancing him, right? And he's like, "Oh, well, you did this. You were in football, and then you left, and you came back to Gotham, and then you started working in this company, and the electric
Yeah.
company, and the water company. So you learned your city, and that's really interesting because it's the difference between the normal DC universe where Batman's rich and can just set up whatever security wherever he
Yeah.
wants.
He doesn't
To
have
this
to really
one,
learn. He just can
yeah,
act kinda, yeah.
yeah, it's completely different. Similar situation, his father dies. His father dies at a zoo. But the biggest revelation was his mom being alive.
Yeah.
It was
It's
like
be interesting
I
how
was
that
like,
plays
"Ooh."
out.
Yeah. I thought that was really a cool thing. And his cape, I guess his cape's very much like a Spawn, would you say?
Yeah, and it looked like where he was like where he was studying like spiders, they kind of like hinted at it, like, oh, hey, they walk on their some of they showed you in those little panels.
Bats,
There's
not
like
spiders.
bats, yeah, but spiders. I don't know why spiders. It looked kind of like a spider, but like bats walk on their legs and stuff. And I think that's what he was like when he made his suit. That's what he was
Mhm.
kind of, copying, I guess. Um,
Yeah. for
I
sure.
think it's really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing like the fact that like his pals are all his rogues gallery. That's kind of cool. Um,
Oh yeah, that was very that
yeah,
photo, and
yeah. He's
he's
like,
like,
they're like, let's all meet up later with Selena and Edward and Oz and Killer Croc and
yeah,
like,
he's like he runs the gym. Like it's cool
yeah.
as
And
hell.
then these are like his buddies, and there's a picture of them all as kids. So it'll be interesting to say, and we'll talk about it more. One of our articles is going to be more about Absolute Batman, but
Yeah. But the coolest
it's
part
cool.
before I let you go for
Yeah,
was when he literally picks up his hands and he pulls the ears of his cowl out, and they're
yeah,
two
yeah,
knives.
yeah,
Like, I was like, "Holy shit, like, this is not the Batman that we've been used to
yeah.
for 60, 75 plus years."
Treats them like batarangs too, like
Yeah,
throwing them and stuff. Yeah, it was those are really cool. And then he pulls them back. The best is he gets them and he puts them back in. You know, like, and
pretty
then
bad, almost like very samurai.
yeah, and then even kind of like the battle axe thing with his like, emblem is pretty cool too. It's all different, dude. It's all different, and he's beast too, just like yoked out.
Yeah. I
Golly,
hope,
he's
man.
bigger than Killer Croc. I was like,
Yeah.
holy yo,
I really hope that Superman and Wonder Woman are just as good.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
we always know that the Trinity, the Batman title has always been the best, right? But with this different universe, I'm really excited to see other characters, and exactly how we just saw in Batman, with how his villains are kind of friends of his now. It's completely different. And then obviously,
yeah.
the end of the issue one with this
The
person who's
reveal,
very rich is
yeah,
the Joker.
yeah,
Uh Man, I really hope they do well with like other people in the DC universe and the
yeah.
different incarnations they can do.
And I hope it doesn't follow the same vein as like the original Ultimate Spider-Man universe, right? Where you still got all the characters, but like Otto became Doc Ock, and like everyone kind of came and became what you knew they were in the main universe. Like I'd love to see
Yeah.
some of these villains stay his friends, you know? Like it would be cool if like he was pals with Oz, you know? Enigma, maybe Edward's like his guy in the chair eventually or
Oh
something like
yeah.
that.
Instead of
That would
like
be kind of
Barbara.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So um yeah, I thought it was really cool. I enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to more of it.
So what did you read? What do you got this week?
Uh, man. So, I mean, I like the Ultimates as well. Absolute Batman for sure. Scarlet ended. We had issue 5 came out, and I'm
Mm,
gonna be honest, I was pretty pumped about the Scarlet run. I don't know if I don't know why this felt a little lackluster to me. Out of all
yeah.
the miniseries for like the Joes, this one I felt like ended like anticlimactic in a way than in comparison to the other ones we've seen, right?
Oh,
The Cobra, the
100%.
Destro. Well, we haven't seen Destro yet, but I feel like already when I know from Destro, um, it was still good. I was kind of like, okay, it's done.
Mhm.
Um,
I agree.
I have a lot of problems with the X-Men universe right now, unfortunately.
Oh, do tell there, Zach. Do tell.
Man, and like I don't want to get dude, I was so mad when I called you earlier. And like about this. Look, I know I'm not trying to piss people off, and I know it's so look, this is very like
But you're a huge X-Men fan.
yes,
So
and this is
I
hard. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna say what I think because I have been reading X Men since Jump Street, so I can have an opinion on this. I hate. And this has nothing to do with. Don't come in my DMs trying to talk shit to me about this either because I will rip you apart. This has nothing to do with being like anti any type of people, but I hate how X Men has become basically like the flagship for the LGBTQ community in comics. Like it makes no sense. I bitched about it with how they turned Betsy Braddock into a lesbian with Rachel Summers, a lesbian. None of them, either one of them, ever having any kind of, you know, relationship with women or the same sex previously. In fact, the complete opposite.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, in Exceptional X Men #2, and they hint at it in 1, but Kitty Pryde is now going on dates with girls. And so it's just like, what is going on here? And like, it's obnoxious to me because I see through it. I know it's not like people go, oh, we want representation. Dude, they have so much representation. It's ridiculous. Like percentage wise, the LGBT community makes up 3% of this world. The X Men, it's like, what did I tell you? Like 35% of X Men are supposed to be like LGBTQ based on how
Yeah,
many
based on
people
the
they have.
numbers, yeah.
It's wild. And so I'm over it, man. I feel like it's It's all these agendas and comics, and it was so obnoxious. The X-Force issue was so obnoxious every time Captain Britain and Phoenix or Rachel Ascani were talking. It was like, "Hey, babe, hey, be careful, babe. I'll love you, babe." Like literally every bubble was like a babe, or "I hope you know how much I love you, babe. Oh, nice ass, babe." It was just like, what is happening here? Like, you don't. It's just. It's so in your face and so over the top. It's not even good storytelling. So
But why do they need to do this with old characters? Like,
I don't know, dude.
they're
Because
so established. It's not like the characters are 5 or 4 years old and they've not really been in the mainstream. You're talking about huge characters that have been around pre-Claremont, during Claremont, and so much. eh,
dude, I have no idea. And it's the fact is, not only are they doing it there, but then new characters they introduce are automatically like you have to assume any new character coming in, there's a 50-50 chance they're LGBTQ. 50
mhm.
50 out of every new character coming in. And then, you want to talk about like Iceman, right? You want to original X-Men who they retconned, then okay, fine, dude. So yeah, he's gay. I don't care. I still love Iceman, but I hate his stories now. Every story that he has revolves around him being gay. That's it. And so it's just like, oh my gosh, man. Like it's just, it sucks. It's bad storytelling. That's what pisses me off. I have no problem with the LGBTQ community. So don't come at me like that. But it's just, it sucks, dude. It's just, it's very disheartening. Like every issue is something. It just feels like, I know people will be like, well, that's what the mutants have always been. The mutants have always been the people, the downtrodden. Yeah, I know, dumbass, but they're mutants. So now we're just giving them more, like more. You never hear Bishop like, you never hear Bishop be like, "Oh man, really, really hard being a black guy." Never hear him say that. He never says that shit, dude. Like, it's really tough being a black guy out here. No, dude, he's a mutant. He's like, it sucks being a mutant. Like
Yeah.
that's it. That's all I need to hear, dude. We get it. Sucks being a mutant.
Okay, so other than Exceptional X-Men and
X Force.
X-Force this week, what did you think of Sentinels?
Oh, loved it. That was my pick of the week.
Okay. Oh, all right. Sorry, I jumped the gun. Well, let's talk. What else you got before
Yeah. No,
anything
loved
else?
Sentinels. I love
Okay.
Sentinels. No, I think that was it. I mean, Geiger was really awesome. I'll come back to one more thing after Sentinels since we're there because
Okay.
I'm pretty much done there. I loved Sentinels. I thought it was really fun. I liked the introduction of these new characters, like hybrid Sentinel humans, and
Yep.
basically, what it reminded me of. You're not very familiar with like Valiant Universe, are you?
No.
So there's like a story like the hardcore in like core like
Oh, I
Marine
know
Corps.
of him. Yeah, I remember him from the 90s. Sure.
Yeah, it's like a group of people who are like augmented and they all like they can channel like the powers. Anyway, it really reminded me of like the hardcore group there. And basically you got they're vets. They seem like they're vets from when we got from the story. Is they're vets who have been injured or like, lost legs and limbs and really were like tore up in war. And they were given an opportunity to become sentinels or some kind of like a hybridization of sentinels and humans. And to tie it in and make it even more awesome, it's Larry Trask. So I don't remember during the Krakoa age if I don't remember if they showed Larry Trask being resurrected. So for those of you who don't know, Larry Trask is the son of Bolivar Trask, who was actually a mutant. He's been around in the comics for a very, very long time. And his mutant power is precognition. And he wore like an amulet to like kind of prevent his mutant power. And that was always the case for a really long time. And then he died, obviously. But like I said, don't remember if Krakoa showed him coming back or if this was kind of like a hey, we brought him back also thing.
Hmm.
Um, but Trask is now running this Sentinel program, and he's not a bad guy. He's doing it in the hopes of he's almost like a Magneto in a way, like for the greater
Hmm.
good.
Yeah,
Where
that's what I kind of. That's kind of what
yeah,
I would gather too. Yeah.
he's like I'm trying. He says it to someone. He's like, look, I'm trying to be the bridge between mutants and humans because we just can't keep doing this. And so in his mind, he's doing the right thing. But these people are kind of like suffering. Like apparently, if they do this stuff for too long, they get almost taken over. It almost felt very like technical organic virus as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I
Um,
was getting. Very X-Men 97.
yeah, and like warlocks, like the techno virus possibly. So I
Mm.
don't know, but really cool stuff. They're hunting down villains. Apparently, Larry's now using his precognition and he's had visions of certain mutants that are going to like bring about the end of mutant kind, and that's who he's targeting. So they go after Omega Red, which was really cool. If anyone reads the Infinity, so like Marvel has like Infinity books that are only online. They're like short, and it's like X-Men Infinity, From the Ashes, and I read them as whenever they come out, and they're like little short stories, not full comics. And so this takes place right after this last arc that we had of Omega Red, where he like basically ended at that, and then they find him. So that was really cool. Them fighting him. Omega Red's always a badass.
Yeah, it was really cool.
You saw the Blob in there as well,
Yep.
and it looks like they're going after Sebastian Shaw next.
Yep.
So it's a 5-issue miniseries. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing. Really, really fun stuff, as opposed to Exceptional X-Men and X-Force, which was just disappointing.
Okay.
And then finally, Conquest 2099. I wasn't planning on reading it, and then I
Yeah.
picked it up. I checked it out. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of cool. I think I might keep going a little bit with it. It wasn't anything amazing, but I like the
Well, you definitely
Dracula
needed to
storyline.
read when we read all the
Yeah,
Annihilation. You definitely need to read all the Annihilation 2099 to understand it. Because
right.
to be honest, like there was times where I was just like, thank God I read this because I didn't know. I could see if you didn't read those 4 issues or 5 issues, you'd be like, what the hell is going on? Right.
Right.
With Dracula, Nova, obviously Spider-Man 2099 is always there, but yeah, you wouldn't know who is who and what's going on for sure.
Yeah.
How Dracula like took over the entire planet. Like, why is he on this planet? Because he was searching for his not homeland, but a sanctuary for the
Mhm.
vampire kind. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was cool. I'll probably keep checking it out for a little while.
Okay.
Oh, and then sorry, one more book that I want to talk about is a couple weeks old now, but Duck and Cover #1. Did you check this out by Snyder,
No,
Dark Horse?
no, I
Um,
didn't.
it was one of those comicsology books, kind of like the
Oh, okay.
We Are Demons. So I think
Mhm.
it's all out, but they're finally putting them in print.
Okay.
And like, how do I explain how this happened? So basically, it's like back in like around like the World War II, like or more Cold War, sorry, Cold War time, where like people are told, hey, if the A bomb drops, you get under your desk and duck and
Yep.
cover, right, and you'll
Okay.
survive.
Of course. Yeah.
So takes place in like a little city or like a small town, and the main characters are all there, and they're all in detention after they got in this big fight. And some really cool character development, like in minimal amount of pages. Like it's just Snyder is a writer, man. He is a
Mhm.
writer. And the bombs go off and they get under their desk, and apparently that's the solution, bro. So they survive. Like in this universe, your desk will protect you from an A bomb. And then they kind of like wake up like days later, and it's like almost a mix of like aliens, but like robot aliens, kind of like not aliens necessarily, but more like oh gosh, what was the movie with Tom Cruise in the future? It's based on the book. And there's like
Minority
the
Report.
no, with like the
Oh.
end of the world and like the aliens.
Uh, the the uh Orson Welles thing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
War of the
those
Worlds. Yeah.
War of
War
the
of the
World.
Worlds.
Yeah. So it's kind of like there's kind of like War of the Worlds type
I can't
spider.
believe I went to Minority
I
Report.
know. It's like it's
I was just
a
like,
good one.
whatever.
That's a good
The
movie.
future.
Yeah. Um, shit, you could have
Wait, I gotta
done
think about that for a
Live,
second.
Die, Repeat as well, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Or Edge of Tomorrow, or whatever that was. That's a great movie too, man.
oh yeah, Edge of Tomorrow's a cult. I feel like
So
that's
good.
a good movie because it's like not a well received or reviewed movie, but it's a
Oh,
cult classic. In
love that
time it
movie.
is.
I just watched that
Oh
again like last
fuck
week.
yeah. Fuck yeah.
Um,
So wait, did you read all? Because I'm looking it up. There's 4 issues. Did you
I
read the
only
whole
read issue
series?
1. No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
waiting because I'm getting them as they're coming out. So I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
gonna
Because
wait.
yeah, I can see that they're all available
Yeah.
on
But
Comixology. So
it was cool, man. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. Like I said, Snyder's amazing. Raphael Albuquerque and the art. That's good, dude. Check it out. You should.
okay.
I think you'd like it. Like I
Yeah,
said, I
yeah.
only read issue 1, but
Okay.
um,
Yeah, yeah. I'll definitely give it a shot.
so anyway, let's do some quick articles before we get out of here. Let's just stick with since we kind of were talking about Absolute Batman, let's just get into this Absolute Batman article here. So Scott Snyder, Nick Dragotta on Absolute Batman for at least 2 years. So they've signed up for 2 years, and they say they will keep writing as long as you keep buying. So there's a lot of plans, man. A lot of plans with Absolute Batman. It's not just going to be, here for a short amount of time and then taking off. which I think is good. It makes you think that there's actually some investment in this, right? It's not just like a turn and burn. No, it doesn't have any like play down the line. So I really like that. But um, this is what Snyder says. So his approach to character generation, he said, instead of starting with the gallery of characters and deciding which ones we want to bring in, I'm trying to really focus on Bruce and his story in this universe and let that dictate who shows up and how. He's a really different version of himself in Absolute. He's both angrier and more idealistic. He's young and wild, and he grew up in Crime Alley with some of the people who eventually become his villains in the main universe. So I sort of start from there and then think about what he would do, who he would know, who he would consider an ally or a friend, who he'd be suspicious of, and build out from there. When it comes to people who are going to be his real antagonist, I try to think of characters that would give him the hardest time in this version of himself. And then Nick and I discuss how to make them even more difficult and challenging for Bruce just to be mean. So it's fun stuff, man. Like, I mean, I'm here for it, dude. It's, you know, even the synopsis of like Absolute Batman without the mansion, without the money, without the butler, what's left is the absolute dark night. It's that's hard, dude. That's badass. So
Well, you know, again, for the people that read it and it's spoiler, you look at it as the Joker, who
mhm,
is, you know, what people call him as the Joker, seems like a rich person. So he kind of is on the opposite end of
right. It's like a
the
character
normal
swap.
DC universe. Like
Yeah.
instead of being Bruce Wayne with all this money and power and wealth and just gadgets to be able to be Batman, you have this guy who could be this villain, and now he's going to be like super rich, right?
Yeah, total role reversal.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, man. Absolute Batman. I'm with you too, man. I'm really hoping. I read there was another article here that was talking about like the numbers for Absolute Wonder Woman is already really high, and they think the numbers for Absolute Superman are going to be even higher
Good.
than Wonder Woman. So like I'm with you, man. Those are the ones you got to nail, right? The
Mhm.
Trinity. So
And even, I mean, we didn't really talk about it during the reviews, but so the villains pretty much in that first issue, it's like, would you say it's Black Mask, right? The
oh
party
yeah,
animals.
it was like so there was like two villains, right? There was the gang that was like that he fought, and then there was like the were they aliens? What were those things? Like that little
Uh,
baby that was like a squid head?
did I miss this? Wait,
So there
what?
was like they were in that dinner, right? They were in that like dinner room,
Yeah.
and
Oh, those guys with like almost the Professor X
yeah,
when
but
he's
they
got like
the
the
one that was like a young kid that was floating in the pool had like
yeah.
tentacle head.
Yep.
So like I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know who that's gonna be, but the other, I guess the party animals would be the terrible trio of like that universe, because the terrible
Okay.
trio was like a bunch of like low, like
Yeah,
D-level Batman rogue villains that dressed up as
animals.
animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I got the party animals of, but
But that one dude did look like Black Mask. He had kinda like a Black
yes.
Mask.
Yeah, yeah. Because then he's got all the different like Falcone and
Yeah.
Maroni and all the like their faces and stuff. He's like, I'm gonna put you and your brother here next. He's like, oh shit. And they kill those guys.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was weird. I didn't I guess time will tell, right? On what
Mhm.
happens there. So, I'm wondering if he'll bring some I mean, it's his creation. He's gonna bring in it'll be interesting to see his version of, like, Court of Owls, right? In this universe.
Yeah, if we get there.
Yeah.
Definitely if we get there. I think, you know, it'll probably be, you know, how he's saying this and how it's kind of a flipped on a lot of things. I'm sure maybe in time, like Tim Drake will be a bad guy or a villain. I could maybe Dick at some point.
Mm.
Jason will probably be in that kind of tiptoe the line. Like, I don't think they'll introduce. I think he'll stick just to Batman and his rogues, but because we've already seen Dick, so maybe Tim will get introduced as like a villain. And because we've seen Barbara, right? Yeah, Barbara was in
Where did
there.
we see Dick? Sounds
Isn't
weird.
he fighting? He's not fighting, but isn't he in the gym, like
The
using the
one holding
punching
the
bag?
bag?
Yeah.
I don't know if that
Like
was
before,
him.
he's like, oh Bruce. He's like, I was just getting it warmed up for you. I thought
Yeah.
that's what I
Did
read.
they name him? I don't remember.
I could have sworn it was Dick. I could be wrong, or I
You
just
just see Dick everywhere, dude? So just see Dick, huh?
Richard Grayson there, Zach. Sorry.
His government name, dude. You don't know if he goes by Dick in this universe?
Yeah, exactly. He goes by penis.
He's like, "Hey, man, there's no Dick in this universe. It's just Richard."
There
Hold
you
on,
go.
I'm pulling it up because I can't remember. I think I mean, I wouldn't be. It looked like it definitely could have been, but I can't remember if they named him. Okay,
I
so
could have
he's this
sworn
dude. He
that's who he
says, "Hey,
was.
Bruce, sorry, blah blah blah." He said, "Don't worry, love's in the air. Now move." So they don't really name that dude.
Oh, I could have sworn it was.
It looks kind of like him.
Okay. All right. That's what I guess, but I just like to think anybody who's introduced in the Batman that kind of look like mainstream
Yeah,
is
someone.
some
Yeah, yeah, right. I
exactly.
mean, oh, we didn't mention Harvey's one of the crew too. So it was Eddie,
Oh,
Harvey,
yep.
Oz, and Selena, and
Mhm,
Croc.
mhm.
So that's cool, man. But yeah, um, one more article. You want to take this one?
Yeah, so over at bleedingcool.com, you got Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee on Batman in the Daily LITG 8th of October 2024. So Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee returning to Batman was the most read article on Bleeding Cool yesterday. Welcome to the Lying in the Gutters. This was published on the 8th. So, this is a 2025 comic series. Of course, they're huge Batman Hush back in the mid 2000s. So Returning to Batman was the most related read article on Bleeding Cool. Um, Founded 15 years ago and stepped into the history of comic books for over the past 15 years. Bleeding Cool has become one of the longest standing and most well known pop culture websites around. And talking about Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee. So this one is pretty interesting as far as what they're saying for the future of both um, Batman going to be in 2025. So, we had the news that Batman 157 is being delayed, but we have this awesome thing that's going on, especially with Jeph Loeb and Jim Lee. What we're going to expect from the future from them. Uh, I'm hoping again, like maybe a follow up to Hush, because again, Hush is like a 4 issue or not 12 issue kind of turnaround with him. So, you know,
Yeah.
um, kind of only time will tell, basically, right?
Yeah, and like they go on to kind of talk about how whether or not they're guessing if it will relaunch and be a number one, or if it will continue with like 158. Um, whether it all depends on what Jim wants is pretty much what they said. So right. So but based on the past, like you said with Hush, what is it? They got it here. I don't. It's not like I know this off the top of my head or anything, but they
Hmm.
say that he picked up 608 to 619. So they thought that it was going to also be like when he jumped on Batman originally, that it was going to start over, but he said, no, just keep it running, the numbers. So I hope they don't do a number one. I like how Batman's been keeping his numbering going for the most part. And yeah, I mean it's sad to see Chip leave because he's doing so awesome. But man,
Yeah.
can you think of a better crew to take over? Jim Lee and Jeph Loeb. I mean, that's gonna be pretty
Listen,
awesome.
as long as Jim Lee has the time to do this and Jeff Loeb have the time to do this, because Jeff Loeb's doing the long Halloween, last Halloween right now. Um, we'll see what happens. It was originally expected to return in November, December, hence the increased schedule for Chip's run being done. In the article, I understand that Jim Lee has been drawing comics since the spring, and a number of issues have already been completed, but clearly DC would now like to get a few more under the belt so that it's got no problem that's been plagued Jim Lee's comics in the past,
I
especially
love that.
considering his duties as chief creative officer, publisher, and president of DC Comics. However, working on this comic is a major part of the reason that Jim Lee signed up for DC Comics for a considerable period rather than jumping ship to Marvel Comics for the X-Men relaunch. They just didn't want to have Ryan Benjamin take over with the third issue. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess we're going to see what's going to happen for the return of Loeb and Lee.
I like how they're like, yeah, man. Before we get started, we're gonna let Jim get a couple issues that were like brought up, so we're not because they because of things that happened in the past. At the end of the article, they kind of like talking shit on him too a little bit. They go, they say, "What will they do this time? Batman 158 or Batman number one? Maybe after he could get around to finishing All Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder." 1963 annual or Pearl or the Deep, either or like so obviously Jim Lee's a busy man. So but
Yep.
I don't think you could be happier. Like if he's not in Marvel, right? If he's not doing X-Men, Batman's
Yeah.
where you want him, right? So
Fuck yeah. Oh my
yeah.
god. So Hush is definitely the one of the best, well received, written and drawn comics. Pre New 52. It's going to be amazing to see what they're going to come up with. So.
Yeah.
And that's cool that it's gonna continue the ongoing. So listen, if you can get a year and a half out of those guys, sure. That's to then bring in somebody new. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. So that's all we got this week, everyone. We do got something coming up this weekend. We mentioned it last week.
Yes.
Justin, you want to give them the details, the detailios?
Yes. So if you're listening to this early enough, which you should be, or even if you're listening to this Saturday or Sunday at the earliest, we are having a short boxed auction. So what is that? You know, when we had Kevin on here a couple weeks ago, we are, if you do not have a short boxed app account, you should, because it's completely free. They do community auctions. They do their own auctions as well. So the Comic Con podcast has a auction that's set for the 11th. I'm sorry, October 12th through the 14th. It starts. There's about 50 to 60 items that both myself and Zack put together. Everything from Ghost Rider to X-Men, some indie stuff, Star Wars, Batman stuff. And yeah, it's a 3-day auction. So if you want some cool books, you could, I think everything starts off at $10. There's some slabs, there's some raw stuff. So definitely go check it out. We'll be posting it all over our social medias, in our stories, and online. But yeah, just download the Shortboxed app, and you know, please, we could use some money for New York Comic Con.
And you'll get some good books. There's some good
Yeah,
books.
there's
there,
yeah.
for sure.
We
There's
didn't just
not,
give you like some random bullshit. Like
yeah,
if you
there's
definitely
good
look at the
stuff.
books that Zack put in, if you're a Ghost Rider fan, for a lot of first appearances, a lot of key issues. So please check it out.
Yep, show your boy some support. And then next week we will be at New York Comic Con. We got to figure out how what we're gonna do recording wise. Maybe we'll do another. Maybe we'll find another homeless guy to record next to.
Yeah, well, Tuesday we'll have, well, not Tuesday. Well, Tuesday we'll be recording with another Kickstartober. Our buddy Scott Palachuk is returning for his Kickstarter for Marcus. So we'll have him on Tuesday night. That'll be dropping on Wednesday morning. And then, yeah, I guess maybe either we record maybe in the hotel,
Maybe on
maybe
the
somewhere
train.
else. Oh, maybe in the train would be like a quick episode. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, maybe we could do that.
or in the cab to the hotel in New York, because it'll
Maybe it could be
probably
a combo, dude. We could pause and then keep going. It could be like an adventure. Got some good
yeah,
ideas going. Okay,
walking through Penn Station. But
we'll get the
yeah,
juice.
so we'll be at New York Comic Con next week. Well, Zack will be there Thursday, Friday. I'll be there. I'll be with him as well. And then maybe one more day for myself, because it's going to be a long weekend. So if you're coming to New York Comic Con, let us know.
Yeah,
try to grab some beers or lunch or dinner or something.
We're all of the above.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, everyone. Well, thanks, and we will catch you next time.
Later, everybody. Hey, comic book collectors. Do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.